Good morning and welcome. Sorry I'm running a minute or two late. Nothing seems to be where I want it to be, but we are here to have a bit of a random play with one or two stamp sets. I think we're going to go with a couple of stamp sets that are retiring, that are on their last chance, on the last chance list. So you need to get them while you can. Let me just grab some bits and pieces. That's not what I want. It is good to have a play. So hello Jane, hello Jackie, and anybody else who's coming in to join us, welcome in. And we're going to have a bit of a play. Morning Molly. Let me just grab my retiring catalogue, if I can find it. If I can find it buried underneath all new catalogue things. And we'll start to have a bit of a play, as I say, with a couple of things that are on the retiring list. So we're going to have a play with retiring things today. We'll perhaps have a look for the next couple of sessions at things that are going to be carrying over but not going to be carrying over as bundles. So a bit of a heads up that these are things that you might want to get before they go. That's what I'm looking for. And before we get into the whole, here's the new things that are coming, because you can't get, if you're a customer, you can't get any new things until the 4th of May anyway. So why tempt you with things that you can't actually get your hands on yet? There'll be plenty of time for that when we do things like launches and things, and we have got those things coming up. I've got those things that I am planning at the moment. So what we're going to do with our catalogue launch, and lots of things to share with you at that point. But for now, let's look at the things we're going to be saying goodbye to. So I've grabbed a couple of stamp sets. The Dandelion Wishes, which has been around for a couple of years and is just beautiful. And if you haven't got this in your collection, it's one you might want to get a grab. And the Silhouette Scenes, I like this one, just like the simplicity of it, which means that you can do lots of other things. And I've also grabbed, what I was scrabbling around for, is the Sweet Silhouette dies that were brought out alongside this stamp set. You've got this lovely tree die just there, a really lovely dandelion actually, and then you've got Adventure, Inspire and Forever. Which are the ones that go with that. I was actually also looking for a new die, new to me, die set to use along with it, which is my Whimsy dies, but that seems to have disappeared off the face of the earth. I know that I was waiting to put a label on it, to create a label for it with how many dies were in it. So I suspect I've put it in an incredibly safe place, waiting to do that. But who knows where that safe place is. So we will go on without it. That's fine. We'll play with those another day. Right, so what to play with first? Now, I thought with the Dandelion Wishes, let's actually grab... I think I'm going to grab some of the colours that are the in colours that are carrying over. So these ones we're hanging on to. Let's get Just Jade and Bumblebee and Magenta Madness. Beautiful bright colour palette. And let's have a look at that with these dandelions. I've done dandelions in all sorts of things, white ink and things, but I don't think I've done anything with bright colours. So that seemed like a good place to start this morning. So let's get ourselves some Whisper White card. Or basic white card. See, I've not changed my label on that either. Morning, Caroline. I need to do some labelling. I need to get my label maker out and start labelling things up for new in colours and those sorts of things. So I'm going to cut this piece of Whisper White. Let's make it 13.9 by 9.5. And let's take the big dandelion. And I think we'll do the big dandelion in Bumblebee. Not at all dandelion. Well, it's dandelion colours if you've got them in flower, but not if you've got them seeded like this. But we're not going for how they look in nature. We're going for sort of more mad colours that pop on this one, I think. There we have. It just is a stunning stamp set, and it never sort of loses its magic. As I say, if it's not one that you've got in your collection, it might be one you want to think about adding. Let's give that a bit of a wipe. Let's bring in some magenta madness. You can tell this is quite an old stamp set. It has no stickers on the back. This one coming up here. Let's take that and give that a bit of a wipe. So I'm sending well wishes your way. That's the block I want. To bring in the little morning, Hannah. I'm just looking, I do have some oddments of the in colour paper. Let's go with Magenta Madness just there. And I'm going to, so that's 9.5. So if I go about 4.75 that way, and just under 7 that way, I'll be able to chop that into quarters. sorry, knocking you about. I'll take a bit of basic white, thick basic white. I'm going to create a card base with it. I've actually done a sort of front opening one like that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick some DSP to the front of that. I don't want it to, I want it to be quite a narrow border. So I'm going to cut it at 10.3 by 14.7. So it leaves a bit of a border, but not much of a border. It is only a smidge. I might want to come in with some ribbon in a minute, so I'm not going to stick that in place yet. We'll have some of those on there. Now, I don't know whether I actually have any of the in colour ribbon left, or not in any colours that we'd want to use. I've got a little bit of Misty Moonlight and a little bit of Cinnamon Cider, but those aren't the colours that we've used in there. But I do have some of the Bumblebee Gingham or the Jade Gingham. In fact, we might even go for a bit of both. Okay, let's stick these on here. So this is retiring stamp set with in colours that are staying. So a bit of things we're saying goodbye to and things that are going to be around with a bit longer. The in colour ribbon is all retiring, but the Bumblebee ribbon, I do believe, is carrying over. And I think the Jade ribbon might be as well. I think that sort of collection with Misty Moonlight. Let's get our white lights. It's moonlight, not midnight. I think that may be staying over. Let's have a bit of that. And a bit of that. And we'll bring that round. I should have trimmed that down a little bit more, but never mind. I'm going to wrap that piece of just jade ribbon around there and just stick it down in place with some tape. Obviously we're not going to be able to see that from the other side. Then I'm going to take some Bumblebee ribbon and lay that so it's slightly overlapping. And this ribbon is really pretty because it's got like this sort of slightly scalloped edge to it. Take a little bit more tape. And then I think a bow will be too much for this card, but let's try and tie those together in a knot. All fingers and thumbs. Lost my card front. Something sticky on the front of that, but that won't matter because we're going to stick our card on here anyway. Of course, although this particular pack of in colour DSP is retiring, there is another one waiting to take its place, and if you signed up during celebration you will already have that pack of paper in your possession. Got a few little the in colour enamel dots here, and I've just managed to take the top off of that one. That wasn't clever, was it? Some add a few of those in there. Excuse me. We'll have another one down there. So just a really quick and easy little bright colourful card to send some well wishes the way of someone who you're thinking about today. Obviously you could change the colours up and make that far more sort of appropriate for somebody who's not well, that's quite nice and bright, but for sympathy cards you could certainly change the colours. Obviously things like embossing, silver embossing, white embossing on black, all looks fabulous with this stamp set. Using your craft ink, any of those sorts of things, it really lends itself to. But I thought today we'd have a bit of a play with some bright colours. So there's a nice bright daffodil card. We now grab the silhouette scenes. Might hang on to those coloured inks, we might stick with those. I think I'm going to go with the little girl on the swing. I'm going to die cut a tree, and I'm going to do that in black card, and I'm going to stamp her in black. And let's see, it's not quite big enough. I have an oddment of card. Maybe it's big enough. I think they may all be just a tad too narrow. Oh, I think we might get away with that one. Excellent. So let's run that through the machine. You would manage to get away with the mini machine with this die, I think. I'm just running it through my big cut and emboss as I have that next to me. Is that cut? Yes. With the more intricate dies you do need to, I think we could do with a second run through on some of that. Let me just line that die back up. Take off a little bit of that excess card. I think it could have done with just a second run through. Hi Angie. Let's tap that. We have this lovely tree silhouette there that we can use in conjunction with our little girl on her swing. So I think we're going to go square for this one. So I'm going to cut this piece of card so it's 13.9 centimetres square. Oh, well, there you go, Angie. I must have, your thought waves, your brains must have floated across the across the ocean. So yeah, having a play as it's one of the ones on. Actually, she will come this way when she's stamped. It's one of the cards that's on one of the stamp sets that we're saying goodbye to. So I'm going to bring in my Stamparatus, and the reason I'm going to bring in my Stamparatus is because I want to ensure I have got a good solid black on that stamp, and I also want to clear emboss it afterwards. So for both of those reasons, I think the Stamparatus is good to go. I've used Stays On for that, so I'll have to give that a good clean at another point. Let's lay our card in there like that and anchor it down. Then we can decide where we want our tree to go like that, and decide where we want our stamp to go like that. And let's pick up that stamp and we can move that tree. Move these over a bit to make sure that's well anchored down. Right, I'm going to come in with Stays On because Stays On is a blacker black. And I want this to be a nice solid black. So let's ink that up. And let's stamp. Apologies if I'm now wobbling you all over the place. Just move that block well out of the way. Keep sliding back in and stopping the Stamparatus from shutting. Nearly there, but still a little bit grainy. Wondering if I've got some fluff on the surface of my stamp. there is just still a slight graininess about that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a black watercolour pencil, and it will cover up Here we are, and we can see all those little white spots disappearing. I just need that my stamp needed a very good clean. Picked up some little grains of embossing or whatever along the way, but that's better. So we've now got a nice solid black image. That's a bit of a wipe. Being a little bit gentle because I don't want to move it. And I can come back in and give it a better clean in a minute. I just want to remove the worst of the black from the top there, because I'm now going to come in with my Versamark and some clear embossing. Let's pop the lid on our stays on so it doesn't dry out. Now, one of the exciting things that we've got coming back in the new catalogue is black embossing powder. I've missed black embossing powder. We'd have obviously been able to go straight in with black embossing powder if we'd have had that. So let's do that. And then bring in my box of clear embossing powder. Having double checked it's clear and not white. Let's come over the top. So instantly we get that faded look now. Obviously picked up a bit of a blue finger mark just there. And then let's come in and give this a burst with our heat tool. And now not only is she black, she's shiny and black. Let's pop that out of the way. So let's stick with our in colours that are staying, and let's blending brushes. And I think I'm going to start with some yellow. Now we don't have to worry too much about going over the top of her because, oh, stuck my finger in the ink. It's a good job we got a tree going on, isn't it, eh? You can feel the blending brushes drag as they hit that embossed image. So rather than twirling smoothly on the card, there sort of is a little bit of drag there. Let's come in with some pink, some magenta madness. I'm sort of going to bring that in round the edge of the yellow, but also blending together with that yellow to make that sort of soft orangey glow. And the more colour you add, obviously, the brighter it becomes. Now I'm going to come in with the green. We'll do that very gently because I don't know quite. Those two colours together may come a little bit sort of pink and green. May go a bit browny. Come in darker on that edge, around that corner. Making a bit heavy just there and caused a bit of a blob. And let's see if we can work that out a little bit. And let's come around this top. And then on this corner. Come back in with the yellow down here and blend that out a little bit more. And bring it in a little bit stronger on this edge. They are very relaxing, aren't they, Angie? I do love them. Right, let's see if our tree is not going to completely cover that blob. We may have to pop something there as well. We will see. So that's our tree going to come in over the top. So let's stick that in place now. Had I been sensible, had my sensible head on, I could have die cut this with the sticky back sheets. But no sensible head today. So we need that to reach the side, reach our some little bits in there that are still not quite poked out. It's funny how it's the very last minute that you see those, isn't it? I will need to find something for that blob. But necessity is the mother of invention, as they say. I love this, go confidently in the direction of your dreams. I think it's so right for a little girl on a swing. I'm going to bring back the Stamparatus. Just for the same reason, we want it to be nice and bold. Back in our stays on. Shall we go one more? These silhouette type stamps work so brilliantly with sort of like those really blended backgrounds. That pop of black on a really bright background. Let's just die cut ourselves a little black bird. Not necessarily a blackbird, but a blackbird. A generic blackbird. Still not quite big enough. Might need a second one. Just goes to show we all make mistakes, but there's always something that you can do about it. So I'm going to stick that first little blackbird on the top there, and I'm going to take a mini dimensional I should have taken a black mini dimensional. Perhaps that little bird just there. So two little birds in our tree hiding our yellow blob. Right, let's take some more black card. I'm going to cut this to 14.4 square. And we will pop that onto there, and then we will have a white card base. So I'm going to cut this. So it's 14.9 wide, full width. And then score at 14.9. look at a square card base. Stick that in place. And we have just come in with a couple more little ones. So there we go. So for both of our cards today, we have used the Bumblebee, the Magenta Madness and the Just Jade, which of course are all in colours that will still be with us in the new catalogue. So something that's carried over, but we've then also had a play with 2 cards and 2 stamp sets and a set of dies that we're going to be saying goodbye to. So if you have them, like Jackie, get them out and have a play. If you don't have them, they both might want to be something that you put into your collection before it is too late. So they are now, they certainly were still available here in the UK when I was looking late last night as to what was still around for us to play with. So they were still on the last chance list last night. So if you do want those, do go and check them out, or get in touch if you need some help. So thank you for coming to play this morning, and we'll be back, all being well, on Monday to play a little bit more. So see you then.